Seth, Billy Napier was asked today, hey, you guys a game-winning kick away against Arkansas and a 4th and 17 stop away from being 7-4. Do you think this team is better than its record right now?
I think we're a team that can be competitive with about anybody, if that makes sense. We're capable of beating anybody, and anybody's capable of beating us, if that makes sense. I mean, I think that's kind of who we are. I think our struggles have been inconsistency. We're yet to put it together, a dominant performance in all three parts of our team. Some of that is injuries, lack of depth, youth. I mean, we're not going to allow excuses to creep into what we're trying to accomplish, if that makes sense. We are trying to improve. We're trying to get the most out of our players, right? And I think it's a fun team to coach because we got some veteran players that are just awesome in their approach, attitude, leadership. They've maintained energy, the work ethic, the practice habits. And then we got a lot of guys that don't know any different, right? I mean, we got a lot of young cats that are just showing up, and it's like, what's next? So, and I think there's some things about that you respect. So, look, we are what our record indicates. We've come up short, in a handful of games. So, and we can coach better and play better. That's what I think about. I think I'm thinking about things we can do.
So Seth, Billy Napier was also discussing, look, there's 12 to 15 plays in a game. I think that impacted the end result, he says. When you lose these games by these point totals, it's all magnified. So every possession counts. We're talking about 12 possessions a game on average, both sides of the ball. I think each one of those where you don't maybe get the result you want, there's something in that possession you can point to that you can do better. That's where we're at as a program. Every time we put the ball down, no matter who the opponent is, that margin for error that you're talking about, I think that's who we are. That's where we're at. Every play counts. Every possession counts. Yeah, this margin for error for this team is very, very thin. We've seen it on, in full circle 2 out of the last 3 games for sure with Arkansas and Missouri. And kind of goes back to something you said, Seth, when we're talking about just so many plays that are so game-changing for Florida that are resulting in losses, it's there for a win as well. And I'll just read the beginning of because it kind of goes to what Napier said today. The beginning of your article, Florida is a losing football team. They have a chance to get back to even in the backup bowl this week. But as of now, it's true. And it's not just true for this season, but also Billy Napier's tenure as a whole. Beyond experience and talent level, which basically Napier was talking about there, the biggest difference between losing teams and winning teams is that winning teams make plays.
Yeah. Winning plays aren't necessarily the big explosive plays. It's just the winning teams, they do the little things correctly. I think the one a lot of people are pointing to, and I think it even got mentioned today in his press conference, is as simple as, Etienne running out of bounds instead of just falling to his knees and gaining 0 yards. You're either getting the timeout from Missouri or you're getting 40 seconds off the clock. So those are the kinds of things, if you want to make that leap, those are the plays and those are kind of routine. And like he said, he knows he should not have done that. And I'm sure they practice it. I put a story in there. My first year of coaching, the guy I coached for is really meticulous. We practice every single situation every week. We spent a lot of time on it. The kids would groan and suck their teeth, but we're like, hey, this is important. And one of them was 4-minute offense, running out the clock. And, it was, make the ref ask you twice to get up off the ground, make him ask for the football twice. If you toss it to him, toss it at his feet. So he has to bend over and get it and the clock doesn't start. He doesn't wind the clock. But most important is keep 2 hands on the ball. We're going against the clock. We don't need yards. We need time off the clock. We're playing a district game. Kid tries to fight for a couple more yards. He fumbles. They go down and score. We end up getting a touchdown right at the very end of the game, kind of lucked out. But then the very next week, we're in the same situation. he kept two hands on the ball, and we were able to run out the clock. So, unfortunately, failure is a really good teacher, and sometimes it sticks with you more than the 10 minutes you put in every Friday in your walkthrough practice. Seeing that field goal go through when maybe they wouldn't have got a chance to get there. That'll probably stick in your head a little bit more than coach at practice just telling you, hey, make sure you get down, make sure you just fall to your knees right here. So it's unfortunate, but that's how it goes sometimes, and that's the tough part, especially when, like he said, the margins are thin, and the margins are thin for just think about you're the head coach, man, and you've been banging that drum every week, and the guy doesn't do it, and you get fired. That happens every year in college football, and it's tough, but that's why they get paid big money. So,
Seth, from a coaching perspective, two areas I want to go to, and maybe you could dive in. You dove in a little bit on the article. I'll go in sequential order, and I put this tweet out about an hour before we came live here, and it's been ballyhooed and talked about a whole lot. Was Billy Napier too conservative at the end of the game? And that's the ETN where he runs out of bounds and the clock has to stop. But, Florida's in scoring position. They're in field goal range, and they're running the ball really well at that point. That's why I don't consider it conservative. Billy Napier is a run-first coach by nature. The run game was working, and he called 3 straight runs. The third down inexplicably does go out of bounds. That hurts more than anything, and that kind of just blew the whole plan up anyway. But
I think if
you pass on first down, do you pass on second down, or do you,
I thought maybe on third down you could, but if you told him, hey, your running back's going to run out of bounds, he would have thrown on. He would have, right? Like I think it's a lot easier to look back on that and say, oh, he's too conservative. He should have thrown. It's like 40 seconds off that clock, or Mizzou burning that. If Missouri burns that timeout, they don't get it. They were scrambling before that 4th and 17.
Yeah.
Called a timeout. Were able to compose themselves, get into a good play. If they don't have that timeout, they probably don't convert, right?
And not only that, Seth, they probably can't throw it to the middle of the field.
Yeah. So it compounds. That issue kind of compounds things. So yeah, I think if you told him, your running back's going to run out of bounds if you run the ball. He may have thrown it, or he may have just. I mean, he might have just told Max take a knee. Just take a knee.
But that's another part. Florida's running the ball well, and you have a young quarterback, so you're going to ask him to make the right decision. Maybe throw a pick, and you don't get the field goal at all.
And with the way your kicker's been kicking for most of the year, you feel like you're pretty much guaranteed to take the lead there if you kick a field goal. So you're gonna put in a hostile environment against a guy that will bring exotic pressures on third downs.
and they had trouble blocking. So who's to say Brown doesn't get hit and ball fumbles? And don't get me wrong,
we take a sack and you're out of field goal. It's funny. The people I was kind of talking to during the game. I said, you know how scarred Florida fans are, because we were all kind of talking amongst ourselves, and most of the people were saying, just run the clock out and kick a field goal with no time left. That's the goal. We don't. So when he broke out and it looked like he may have had a chance to score, everyone was kind of like, get down, down. Like you'd rather, because you knew any time on the clock you had a chance to lose the game. So yeah, it's kind of. I don't think it was about being aggressive. Thought he played it pretty smart, but the back going out of bounds kind of takes all that out of your hands a little bit and makes it look a little bit less smart. But you'd have to anticipate he's not going to do that. So
yeah, and look, I'm sure it was even talked about. Hey, you can't go out of bounds. But in the heat of the moment,
yes. Like I said, I'm sure they've drilled this one day every week of practice for a portion of practice. They probably drill this just like they drill 2-minute, they drill the other side of it. So I guarantee they've gone over this probably 100 times since that guy's been on campus. And like you said, heat of the moment, sometimes it just happens, especially a guy that's had some injury history, this year, and maybe doesn't want to take a shot, on like if he's got a shoulder, he maybe not want to take a shot on the shoulder, just instinct. And you know, that's just a kind of bad luck and unfortunate. So